body make the difficult cuts. Looking at those 300-page UG budget books are no fun. In fact, in July, the 9th floor is no fun. However, each commissioner has taken on the task and oath to
you have
do
1
what's
minute,
best
sir.
for the citizens of Wyco. Lastly, I've seen the homeless population almost double in the last 2 years here in KCK. I've seen the 2-mile traffic waiting at the Harvester food giveaways. And what I understand most is that our community and its residents need financial relief. I simply ask that each commissioner lower the mill levy or that the budget this year remain revenue neutral. Thank you for your time.
Is there anyone else? Clerk, is there anyone online?
Seeing no one, sir.
Thank you all so very much for your comments tonight. As always, it's both valued and appreciated. That takes us to our next item. And it's the next item on the mayor's agenda, and it's a presentation from Terry English Yancey regarding essential families. We're also joined this evening by Kimberly Jones, the Digital Equity Program Manager with the State of Kansas Broadband Office. And we appreciate the efforts of the State Broadband Office to expand access to broadband for all Kansas, especially here in Wyandotte County and Kansas City, Kansas. We're pleased to welcome Ms. Jones back to Wyandotte County and look forward to continued partnership with the state to address digital equity and inclusion. So Ms. English Yancey, please proceed. And this conversation is really going to be centered on the value of broadband, why that's really important, especially in some of our most distressed zip codes here in Wyandotte County, particularly when you look east of 635, and some of the opportunities that exist to expand that broadband access, especially if we look to where we're headed with technology, and it's becoming more imperative for people to have that access and availability to connect online, just to conduct the day-to-day business of everyday life. So thank you.
So thank you for that introduction. So as the mayor said, I am Terry English Yancey. I am the founder and CEO of Essential Families. I do not live in Wyandotte County. I was born and raised in Missouri, but I have worked on the Kansas side. I used to work for the Family Conservancy down the street. So do we have our presentation? Okay, perfect. I'll do my best with my readers. I don't have my prescription glasses on, but we'll see how this works. So, so this is our presentation. So we're here to present the cost to close the digital divide. As the mayor said, we want to ensure that the citizens of Wyandotte County have access to the internet, and we have a solution that we have done on the Missouri side that we would like to bring to the Kansas side. So Essential Families, our vision is to reach, inform, and inspire the lives of children and families. Our mission is strengthening families are essential to our community, city, and state, and we believe everything starts at home. Next slide. So a little bit about me. I have 31 years of experience in the early childhood field. I know I may not look like it, but I am. Again, I worked at the Family Conservancy for over 24 years. I had a staff of 12. I was in the Head Start department, and everything that I've wanted to do, I couldn't do at the Family Conservancy, I brought over to Essential Families to start. And not realizing I wanted to do home visiting. That's my background, doing home visiting, going into the homes with families. But prior to the pandemic, I wanted to find a unique way, creative way of doing home visits. And I wanted to do that virtually. Well, Essential Families was formed before the pandemic in 2020. And so we are a state of Missouri 501c3 organization. We provide virtual services to families 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. Our service delivery model is like how Amazon brings products to the home. We bring it directly to the family. So in November 11th, 2022 through February 11th, 2023, we did an essential broadband pilot on the Missouri side. We did it in the unserved area of Prospect. We were on 9th to Prospect, to Gregory and Prospect, all in the urban core. And that pilot was funded by the Kauffman Foundation. Go to the next slide. So everything that we did in that pilot, and I'll go into a little more detail here, we did not know that the city of Kansas City, Missouri was watching us. And so they gave us a resolution March of this year saying that Essential Family has solved the digital divide in our community with our essential broadband program. So recently we have a contract with the city of Kansas City Neighborhood and Housing Service Department. Our contract starts July 1st and ends in September. And I'll go into detail what that contract consists of here in a minute. So our target population is for the low-income households, the aging population, our incarcerated clients, veterans, people with disabilities, people with language barriers, racial and ethnic minorities, and rural incompetents. So our list of services, and it looks like a lot, but I'm going to go in detail what we're doing here at Essential Family. So it all starts with our program with digital navigators. And I have two navigators that are here with us tonight. They both are bilingual. We have bilingual digital navigators. So what a digital navigator does, when our clients come to our trainings, they're assigned a navigator, and that navigator helps them get access to the computer. They help them enroll in that affordable connectivity program. They make sure their video platform is working. We have our own video platform called Now Video. When our families come to our trainings, we offer them a laptop, no cost. All our services are no cost to them. They get training on their computer. We also provide a service called Virtual Parental Education, where they get 15 virtual education support for families, but it all has to start with a laptop. We also, I heard people here in here say that the mental health crisis is big. And so we have a solution for that. We offer 6 free mental health services to families, no cost. Again, it all starts with getting connected with that laptop. We have a resource called Everything. It's called Everything because it looks like Google. If you search on there, you can search by the food need or whatever your need is, by zip code. Our resource platform called Everything, you can text that to clients. You can send it on Facebook, Twitter, or email, but it's readily available to clients as well. We have a platform called Now Video. I know there's some people here on Zoom, but we have a platform called Now. It's much easier than Zoom. I'm not here to promote it, but all our virtual service we do virtually on our Now Video platform. All our clients get access to that. So halfway through our programs, if our clients are needing transportation, we offer 30 days of Z-Trip for transportation so they can get to work, school, doctor's appointments, what have you. Also halfway through our virtual parental education and virtual mental health, if a parent has a child in childcare, we will pay for 2 weeks of childcare payment assistance for them as well. And we have a very strong digital workforce development, which includes our digital navigators, like I mentioned, that our programs always start with our digital navigators. We have AWS jobs through the cloud, Linux development, software development, and digital marketing. So our families can get trained in a digital workforce, but again, it all starts with coming to get that laptop, getting access, getting connected virtually, and getting those services that we have to offer. So what's behind Essential Families? What makes us uniquely positioned to close the digital divide? Because again, my background is in early childhood education. I am not a technical person, but I do know what is needed in our families. And so behind the scenes is my business partner, Kenneth Yancey, and he'll come up here and share his experience because he is our technical digital marketing and outreach person here at Essential Families.
Yeah, I won't be before you long. My name is Kenneth Yancey. Believe it or not, I've been at the software, telecommunications, and marketing since 1983. I went to work for IBM at 18, Cisco Systems, IBM. I work for all of them, but the last 15 years I've been working for myself. So that's how when Terry's also my wife, when she came home and said she wanted to do this, I'm thinking, do what? She's like, we've got to get into the houses. I think, well, go to the houses. She couldn't offer her services because they didn't have any laptops. They didn't have any internet. So I put my Cisco hat on. Again, I was building broadband networks when I was 28 years old. And they told me then we were going to close the digital divide. And that's 30 years ago. We're still at this thing, but it's possible. So Terry talked about the video platform I built. I built it, yeah, because we built it at Cisco in 2003. But anyway, what I found out was that the language, a lot of different languages. So AWS, that's Amazon, they made me a fellow. They gave me access to all of their language translations. So our video platform will translate 47 languages. And Terry asked me to do that because when she worked for the Family Conservancy, she was spending $100,000 a year for interpreters. Again, we're not trying to take anybody's job, but it's just a lot of people that need help. And so we're going to do it over that. So why are we here? We're not here to ask for any money. We're not. Okay. We're here to, we're not here to ask for any money. But we are here to say, okay, this pandemic thing, right? It really exposed what we already knew. Again, 30 years ago, I was in a trench, cracking open single mode fiber, terminating fiber mucks. Again, that's broadband, but we started in the suburbs. And I was told at 28 that the suburbs is going to subsidize the urban core. And that never happened for some reason. But yeah, we've got to get to this digital divide because what's at stake here is your health. We've got the state of New Jersey calling us right now because most of the people that died in New Jersey during the pandemic is because they couldn't see their doctor. Okay, so you got health, you got workforce development, a lot of jobs online right now. You've got education. Big. I mean, a lot of people that's coming to our training, their kids were hanging out in McDonald's parking lots during the pandemic when the hotspots ran out of the minutes and they got slow, you know what I'm talking about. And you don't want to use it then, right? But it's free, but it's slow. You know? Anyway, that's another story. So we've already identified 100 households, right, in the Wyandotte County. We already have the data. We have a way of reaching them directly. That's the key. There's several organizations they've been around for years and they're very good, but it's time to go directly to the people. One of the things I saw in the .com, and I'm giving me 2 more minutes, doing the .com is that the people who really made the money doing the .com was the lawyers and the consultants. And I'm kind of seeing that going on now. It's a lot of lawyers and I'm not throwing any shade, but we have to be able to get right to the people. So what we want to do is reach these folks here, right? We want to put together a pilot of 100 individuals. We would like your commissioners to pick these 100 families. You can pick so many per district, however you guys want to do it. And we will actually help you write a business case, a proposal to submit to our friends at the Kansas Broadband Office. They're here. They're not here to necessarily support us, but they're here because they're always listening. They're a very good group of people. And we think that we can put together a business plan like we did for the Kansas City, Missouri side, right? We did Prospect, Ninth to Prospect to Gregory Prospect, east of Indiana, west of Paseo, right? We found 58,000 people. 38,000 of them didn't even have a laptop, right? We can do so much with these phones. Did you ever try to upload something with these phones? You want to apply for a job or start a business? Try to upload something with this phone. I know how to do it. Most of the people don't know how to do it. You got to have a laptop. That's my point. That's my point. So our approach is to partner with you guys. We've already identified the people. We will put together the business case and proposal that you can present to the Kansas Broadband Committee, and we can see if they'll fund it. Now, if they don't fund it, we will. We've got the resources to fund this pilot ourselves, but we want to work with the Kansas Broadband Office to do it because they've been chartered to do it. They do a great job at it. They're all over the state of Kansas, but we just want to give them the data, right, to help them justify investing in Wyandotte County.
I just want to add one more thing. Mr. Freeman here, he spoke earlier. He came to one of our locations on the Missouri side and he asked me, why can't you come to Wyandotte County? And I said, well, we want to bring it to Wyandotte County, you know, so we know that the people here need it, and that's what we want to do to help serve the people. So thank you.
Any question about the Kansas Broadband? Ms. Kimberly Jones is here. You guys want to ask her any questions? Their program is phenomenal. She's been all over the state in the cars. I mean, they're doing a fantastic job. So we just want to partner with them, get you guys served. That's it.
Thank you. Ms. Jones, can you come forward and talk about the state and what resources are there? And I know that this is a firm, not-for-profit, and they do their own thing, but what does that look like as far as the funding opportunities and the resources? I know there's been some increases in broadband from our governor as well as from the national level into states. And just if you can kind of share with this commission and our staff and the public as to what does Kansas offer in regards and why is it so important?
Right. Thank you for having me today. I didn't really come to speak. I came to support efforts and organizations that are out here trying to work towards the digital divide. I am Kimberly Jones. I am the Digital Equity Program Manager for the state of Kansas, the Kansas Office of Broadband under the Department of Commerce. And our office was established in 2020, and it was to ensure that all Kansas get broadband. Of course, as everyone knows that the COVID pandemic brought us woke, if you will, got us woke with respect to how important it is to get our education, to eat, to be able to function in this world, in this day-to-day operations, to receive health care, and the list goes on and on. Our office has 2 pillars. One is infrastructure, And the most important thing is we can't do anything else without the infrastructure. Right now, we are currently working grants and have awarded millions of dollars to our service providers to lay the fiber. Because of the unique topography, terrain, geography, landscape, and go on of the state of Kansas, fiber may not always be the answer, but we are working with all service providers to find out what the answer is to make sure that we get all Kansas internet access and that it is affordable. Once we get the service providers to do what they need to do to lay the fiber, to get the wireless, fixed wireless, whatever it takes for people to get the access, then my job comes in and we focus on affordability and adoption, getting devices, finding organizations and companies that are given free devices or devices at a discount. And 3, getting the digital skills education and utilizing the devices and or navigating the internet. Some people don't know how to even turn on a device, and some people don't know how to upload, download, don't understand that. Most importantly, we're working with the covered populations that are most vulnerable to not having access, not being able to afford it, or having the devices in their homes, such as disabled veterans, those just as involved, aging, low income, refugees, minority groups, and the like. So there are programs out here that we are seeking. We've covered the entire state. We've visited 27 communities over the 105 counties in the state of Kansas. And we continue to visit with librarians, elected officials, service providers, educators, social services that serve these covered populations to see what programs are out there. We are currently in the weeds of developing a 5-year action plan on the infrastructure side and on the digital equity side. Once we submit those plans, we are anticipating some monies to come down for sub-grantees, and that would be open to nonprofits, associations, organizations, government agencies, those who are engaged in, again, affordability. We're promoting the Affordability Connectivity Program, which you might hear of as ACP sometime. We are one of the least participative states, so we're looking for people to help us promote that those monies because they may not be available. And once they're not available, what do we do beyond that for affordability? What companies and what people are donating and refurbishing devices. And then we need our librarians, we need our educators, and we're going to the elementary schools for kids to help us, I won't say us because I'm in there too, but help us get this, learn what digital, learn how to operate in this digital world. So we are available to speak with you. We have a staff of 9 people. We started in October with 2. We have 9 people. We have infrastructure, we have broadband, we have digital equity, we have mapping specialists to gather data to see exactly where Kansas is and to track where we are. Please sign up for our newsletter so that you'll know what we're doing. We are very, very active. We're under the direction of Jade Pyros de Carvalho. And whatever it is that you're doing, that you need, that you have, what resources are out there, we will serve as a clearinghouse for resources. We're not going to hold any inventory or conduct any classes, but we will definitely connect people throughout the entire state on programs and resources that are available to make sure all Kansas are connected, they can afford it, they have a device in their home, and they know how to use it. So again, I'm Kimberlyn Jones, Program Director, and please, please contact our office. We're all available. Thank you for your time today.
Thank you so much. We do have a question, Commissioner Stites.
Stites, District 7. Mr. Yancey, if you don't mind, when you said that you've identified the people already, right? But then you showed a list of zip codes. You've identified households within those zip codes that you would like for us. I'm trying to get to what do you need from us as commissioners, right? You know, I know you said you wanted 100 households, but then you said that you've already identified those households. So
Yes.
help me out.
Okay, so we've identified households that meet that uncovered population requirement.
Okay.
Ms. Kimberlin had talked about incarcerated, aging, low income, those zip codes, they fit. So I don't want to get anybody spooked here, but artificial intelligence, I met that in 1994. It was called neural networks. I know how to use it, and I used it, and I found the people that fit that certain profile. They live in those zip codes, right? And we didn't do anything illegal to get the data. But how many of you guys go somewhere and Google ask you, how was that restaurant or how was that theater? Did you ever sign up for that? Do you remember clicking anything that said, send me that information? The genie is out of the bottle. They can't stop it, right? So that's what I did. So we know those zip codes have the people that Kimberlin's group, the Kansas Broadband, will only fund. And so we just need you all to get to your point or your question. We would like for the commissioners to tell us, you know, what areas you would want us to focus on. We've got 100 houses. If you give me 5, you give me 20, you give me 15, we're at 100. And we're going to do the same thing we did on the Missouri side.
So if we've got 10 commissioners, do you want 10 from each district?
That'd be awesome. That's
Well,
easy
I mean,
math.
Eight districts and 2, you know.
Okay.
So that's not too many. is
Oh,
what I'm
no.
asking.
No, not at all. Not at all.
That doesn't spread you out too much.
Nope. We
Okay,
can-
well, I appreciate that. Well, so here's something very interesting. Our meeting prior to this meeting started at 5 o'clock,
Mhm.
right? We met with BPU, and BPU spoke about how the customer service aspect was going away from maybe walking in and be able to pay your bill. It's more online, it's
All of
more
it.
digitized,
Yes,
it's
sir.
all of the computer end of it. So I think that this program and getting people, and I made a comment to Commissioner Johnson beside me. I said, 10 years from now, you know,
No.
we won't be walking in. He said, you know what, probably 5 or less, right? And he's right, and he's
Yeah.
probably right. So the
Yeah.
more that we can get folks that aren't comfortable
They have to-
with a laptop or don't know how to do it, and I'm not going to call out, there's that AI right there. That's how they know if we like that cheeseburger or fries or not, right?
Well, that's a good point because it does listen to you. You ever be talking about something, then go online and see it? It's real. I mean, you can't stop it. I'm sorry, go ahead. No, we would just love to partner with you guys. to
Okay,
make
I
this
love
happen.
it, and I'm in. I just tell me what we need to do, and I'll be there to help.
Okay, thank you. Thank you for your time. Thank you.
Thank you, Commissioner. Commissioner Townsend.
Thank you, Mayor. Good evening, Mr. Yancey. Come on back up. Come on down. My question is very similar to Commissioner Stites in terms of what you need from us, but I did notice, and I was thinking that these zip codes were in numeric order. I did not see 66101. So was it there? I know it started off with 102. Could I see that again? If it's,
To bring it up, that's, if it's gonna fit, the demographic, it's there. 101.
let's go back.
We'll have to go back, and if it's not there, I will go back and look directly at that zip code. Because basically what we're finding on the Missouri side, it's income driven. Typically, it's
Oh,
individuals.
there it is, number
Yeah,
6.
So
Okay.
it's just not in order. Yeah, because
Okay.
again, a lot of, again, we found 114,000 households, $30,000 and below, right? Those are the folks that will automatically, typically qualify for the ACP, the automatic Affordable Communication Plan, which is saving $30 a month off your internet. So, but what we found out is that it's going to take more than the internet and just a laptop to really close the digital divide. So when we interviewed our customer base on that prospect corridor, they were asking, okay, I got a 5-year-old that's running my house right now. I don't know what to do with them, right? And I can't focus on anything till you get me some help over here. And we have people dealing with mental things because of COVID. My brother died of COVID. I didn't work for 6 weeks after that, right? I didn't want to work. 35 years old, dead. You know, anyway, that's another story. But so it's a lot of mental things going on. So to close the digital divide, it is going to take more than the laptop, the internet, and, this training. It's going to take these services that Terry has been doing for 31 years, right? She did it here first, in the Wyandotte area. Now, we started on Prospect because her mother, her grandmother, and her great-grandmother grew up on Prospect, so she wanted to start there. So, but I'm saying, Terry, you got to go to your own back. This is her backyard. Everybody knows her.
Well, thank you for coming to your own backyard. I appreciate that. So my other question, my follow-up is, you made the point, it's not just the laptop, it's not just the internet services, but what things flow from there.
Yes.
Okay,
yes,
so since you've identified households in these zip codes, why can't you tell us
yes. Mhm.
who those are? And then there's some equitable way for us to say, these are the 10. That's going to be a difficult challenge. And I'm
Okay.
trying to figure out how, now that I see 101, 102,
Mhm.
who these people are. You know that already, if
Right.
I'm understanding
Yes, we know who they are.
what you're saying.
Yeah, we know
So,
how to reach them too.
yeah. And so let's say we have identified the eligible families.
Mhm.
Well, let me back up here. Is the issue then, since you know the families,
Mhm.
we don't, what would prevent you from contacting them directly and saying, hey, we've got this great service here?
We'll do whatever you ask us to do. We can do that. We can actually help you all vet or screen the people that we find. Again, we want to help the folks that need it, but the individuals that are just over the borderline. Terry calls it, when she was at the Family Conservancy, there were people that were making like $5 more than the poverty line that couldn't get help because they made $5 more.
Were
So-
they included in that?
Oh, yes.
Okay.
Oh, absolutely.
So again, you got them.
Yeah,
You
we
got
got
the
people.
people who qualify or are so close
Yep.
that they should. I would think it might save a lot of time for you to present the list
Okay.
to us, or do you even need us to say, hey, we can help these people? I mean, what do you need really from us to do if you got the information?
The really takeaway here is to work with us, let us do what you said, but let us write you a proposal, and that proposal goes to Kansas Broadband, because you're gonna need somebody on your staff that understands not just technology. They have to understand the psychographic, the demographics, and the societal impact. That's where Terry comes in. I'm the technical guy. This girl has 2 masters about it. She knows she's smarter than me. She really is. So I just watched her. And what I saw though, and don't laugh at me now. It was all on paper and sticky notes and spreadsheets. I just turned it into software. That's all I did. That's all.
Okay, so one last, well, maybe not the last question, but just trying to follow what you're saying.
Mhm.
So out of this, you've got the identity of the households.
Mhm.
You know they will qualify. But you're saying we would need someone on our staff or a contractor? What are you saying?
No, we would write that proposal for you based on,
Okay.
so this is how it works. It's called a pilot. Okay, so during that pilot period, within 45
Call it
days.
something else. We're overworking that,
Oh, all
that
right,
term.
okay.
Call it something
Okay.
else.
Kim, give me a name. Kim's good at names. Give me a name, Kim.
Call it something else.
Demonstration, yeah.
How about
Bridge to
how about it-
connectivity, something.
how about
Yeah.
a seed program?
Seed program, okay, that'll work.
Yeah.
Yeah, but
What-
we want to be involved in
Uh-huh.
that, but we'll do all the writing for you guys that will submit. the
Well,
data.
here's the other proposal that I would have then. I don't know. And I'm looking at my colleagues who are on the administrative, and it almost seems to me like this would be the thing that should appear on a meeting for that standing committee, where we really kneel down what is being asked of the city. I think you've got a lot of support here, but we're still a little bit unclear about the logistics of it.
Okay.
And we shouldn't have to do something you've already got, and it
Yes,
just makes it
yes.
more streamlined.
Yes,
So that would be my offer, to have you come to the appropriate standing committee and get that nailed down, then come back to us.
we would love to do that.
Thank you for your service.
Thank you. Thank
No
you for coming.
pilot.
Okay, I've been educated.
All right. Thank you, Commissioner. Commissioner Davis.
I'll speak very, very quickly. Thank you all so much for coming. We really, really appreciate it. Digital equity is a huge issue here in Wyandotte County, and had plenty of conversations with constituents and particularly our senior folks that are having a hard time getting access to meetings or paying bills or really dealing with that tough transition. And so I would love to assist in any way possible. Would love for us to come up with a process, but thank you all for coming. Thank you, State of Kansas, for coming. You know that there's a lot of money coming from Washington down to our state. We'd love to get that money in the hands and in the homes of Wyandotte County. So thank you.
Okay, clerk had a comment.
Mr. Yancey, please come to the microphone. Let me just say, I have to take my clerk hat off for a minute and give kudos in the technology side here to Mr. Yancey. I've known him for 20+ decades. We've worked on a lot of tech projects, right? 20 years, 2 decades. Yeah, I'm not that old, right? So
He looks good.
I will tell you this, and like I said, the clerk doesn't advocate, but here from a technology perspective, I will tell you this. I didn't know that Mr. Yancey was coming until I saw this. This was brought forth by the mayor. I was pleasantly pleased to see his wife's name here. I said, Ken Yancey's got to be close by. I will tell you with absolute certainty that Mr. Yancey, if he says that he's done the research, he has been knocking on doors and he does have a plan. He is not only intelligent and very, very passionate about what he does, he actually knows how to get it done. There's people who talk and there's people who also do. He does both. And I can say from our relationship and what we've been in the trenches on for a long time, that I would trust this man to bring back a plan so everyone here can have an idea what that may look like and try to move this forward, because the digital divide has always been here since way he tells you how far it goes back. It's before
1996 is when I
then.
first heard about it.
And he's been working to close that. And I would say that I'm proud to see him here, and I'm proud to see he's still doing good work. And thank you for being here, Mr. Yancey. And it's good to see you, buddy.
Thank you. Thank you so much. Now, that was just a chicken dinner for that comment. That's all you.
All right, thank you, Mr. Yancey, and we want to thank the state of Kansas for coming here tonight as well. I know when Mr. Yancey and his wife, they met with me, you know, a lot of people come to the mayor's office and usually I'd say about 90% of them want something. He came and said, we've worked with Kansas City, Missouri, and we don't want something, we want to give something. We want to give to Wyandotte County because these zip codes, they know the need is there. I've talked a lot about east of 55th Street, east of 635, and some of our most distressed zip codes. And the resources that are available when you talk about funding from federal level to our state is there. And when he talked about his program, I was impressed. Not just the fact that he didn't want anything other than to help Wyandotte County and more importantly, our residents, but also he said, I'll help. And I know that we have a vacuum of grant writers here at the unified government and trying to find the personnel to be able to do those types of things. He said, I got you. He said, Mayor, I got you. And so I said, well, that's good information that I believe that our commission needs to know. And one of the things that stood out to me, he said, whether you use me or you use somebody else, we need to educate the unified government and Wyandotte County on the importance, looking forward thinking on the importance of broadband and making sure that the people, especially poor people, are people dealing and struggling with mental illness. Some of our young folks have access to these types of resources because you're going to need it to survive into the future. I know Commissioner Stites brought up a good point, but that was actually brought out by Commissioner Townsend in our last meeting with BPU when she talked about customer service. And BPU talked about, well, we don't have a lobby because we're digitizing everything. And so, but there are people out here, be it elderly, be it people with mental illness, that don't either have the means, the access, the availability, or the training and the education to be able to use those resources to just get basic essential services. But that's where our society is going. And so I thought it of value to bring them here to at least share that. And yes, Commissioner Townsend, I know you mentioned it. The next phase is to work with our staff to see what that looks like, our legal department, and then get you all before a standing committee to see what type of partnership with the state of Kansas may be of value and allow our commissioners to weigh in that, in a way that can be constructive for Wyandotte County. So thank you so much, for being here. All right, that takes us to our regular consent agenda. Do any members of the commissioner or county administrator wish to set aside any item on the regular consent agenda? If any item is not set aside, all items on the regular consent agenda will be voted on by one vote. I'll entertain a motion for approval of the regular consent agenda.
Move to approve all items as submitted.
There's a motion. Is there a second?
Townsend second.
Okay, I have a motion and a second. Roll call, please.
Roll call, Kane. Stites. Davis.
Aye.
Bynum.
Aye.
Burrows.
Aye.
Townsend.
Aye.
McKiernan.
Aye.
Ramirez.
Aye.
Johnson.
Aye.
Vote is 9-0. That motion carries.
Thank you. That takes us to the administrator's agenda. The first item on the administrator's agenda is the approval of a memorandum of understanding between Unified Government and United Food and Commercial Workers District Union Local Number 2. Police Communications Unit, which is our dispatchers. I'll ask our acting chief counsel to make some remarks.
Yes, this was ratified by union membership on July 6th. Some of the highlights are it's a 3-year term covering 23, 24, and 25. A 9% increase over the course of the 3 years. Changes to allow the division of job duties between dispatchers and 911 call takers to assist with staffing needs and workflow. Provides for appropriate compensation for lateral hires from other agencies to assist with hiring, mutually agreeable changes to overtime assignments, and addition of language providing for shift exchange.
Thank you. Okay. Acting administrator has a comment.
So a quick note that with the approval of this, that all 13 bargaining units within the unified government will be under contract. So we're pleased and appreciate the work of human resources and ACA Cobbins and others who've been involved in this to make sure that we settle all those and are working closely with our bargaining units to get the work of the UG done.
Second.
Okay, thank you. I want to mirror our acting administrator and staff. Just coming in, when I took office, there were a lot of contracts that were on the table in a short amount of time, really quickly. Our staff and our legal department really brought these unions and their contracts and got things ratified in a way that hopefully, what we know will be of value to our employees, but more importantly, if our employees, we take care of them, hopefully that level of commitment that we've had with them will translate to an enhanced level of commitment to our residents. So thank you for everybody involved with these contract negotiations. We have a motion and a second to approve. Are there any further comments? Hearing none, clerk roll call.
Roll call, Kane.
Aye.
Stites. Davis.
Aye.
Bynum.
Aye.
Burrows.
Aye.
Townsend.
Aye.
McKiernan.
Aye.
Ramirez.
Aye.
Johnson.
Aye.
Vote is 9-0. That motion carries.
That takes us to item number 2. This is the last item of the administrator's agenda. It is the approval of a resolution regarding the governing body's intent to exceed the revenue neutral rate and setting the date for the public hearing. This matter has been continued from our June 29th, 2023 commission meeting. I'll ask our acting county administrator, Mr. Allen Haas, to open up the conversation.
All right, thank you, Mayor. We have a couple of slides from finance, if it pleases the commission to see those on the discussion for this item. Ms. Johnsher.
Good evening. Tonight, we're here to talk about the resolution of intent to exceed the revenue neutral rate and set a public hearing. So just wanted to, we talked about this at the last meeting, but I just wanted to talk again about the revenue neutral rate requirements. This requires all taxing entities to give notice to the county clerk by July 20th, which is actually a week from tonight, of their intent to either remain revenue neutral or exceed the revenue neutral rate. Notice to the clerk exceeding the revenue neutral rate also sets the maximum mill levy rate, meaning that the rate can be lowered, but it cannot be increased. The county clerk will then send notices out to all taxpayers of the taxing entity's intent to exceed the revenue neutral rate. And if exceeding the revenue neutral rate, taxing entities are required to hold a public hearing between August 20th and September 20th. So just want to talk a little bit about the resolution. It does state the intent to exceed the revenue neutral rate for the cities of City of Kansas City, Kansas, and Wyandotte County. It sets the maximum mill levy rate at the current rate. I have listed the rates that have been certified by the clerk. The current rate for the City of Kansas City, Kansas is 38.476 mils. And the current rate for Wyandotte County is 37.328 mils. And I just want to remind everyone that tonight's resolution is to notify the clerk of the intent to exceed the revenue neutral rate. This is not the final vote on the mill levy. It can be lowered in the future. It just cannot be increased. And then if approving the resolution to exceed the revenue neutral rate, the resolution also calls for setting the public hearing. That date would be August 28th at 7 p.m. in the commission chambers. And I also just added the calendar for the either exceeding the revenue neutral rate or remaining neutral. If the commission approves the resolution and we give our notice of intent to exceed the revenue neutral rate, the budget adoption would occur on August 31st, and the deadline to submit the budget to the county clerk would be September 29th. If the commission votes to remain revenue neutral, the budget adoption would occur on August 17th with the deadline to submit to the county clerk by August 25th. That's all I have, and I'll stand for any questions.
Thank you. We have a comment from Commissioner Bynum.
I have a technical question. The document that you put on the screen and gave us a hard copy of, taxing entities are required to give notice to the county clerk of their intent to either remain revenue neutral or exceed. And we may have to have legal help us. I had asked a couple of the other taxing entities, if they had already taken this step within their jurisdictions, and two of them that responded back to me, well, one of them said, we take the approach that the notice sets the ceiling, as it cannot be raised after notice. However, it can come down. So my question is technical, because that's what we would do here tonight if we said we were going to exceed revenue neutral. As you stated, we can always lower the mill levy. We just can't raise it.
Right, that would, if you set it at the current rate, that would set the maximum mill levy rate. So you could not go higher than that. You could not choose later during the budget workshops to raise it, but you could lower it.
And that's not different from any previous budget cycle that I've been through. We've always had a point during the budget cycle at which we have set the maximum mill levy.
Yes.
So again, my question's a technicality, because the language says required to give notice of their intent to remain revenue neutral or exceed the revenue neutral rate. And the answers that I had received from a couple of the other entities was much more nuanced than, yes, we voted to exceed, which is technically what they did. So maybe it's not even within our purview, but I'm just curious what the actual language that would be provided to the clerk should be.
There's the form, and I don't have that in front of me, so I don't know if the clerk can maybe help, but I believe the form states the rate that you are setting.
I see.
So you could either set it at the current rate, you could set it at the revenue neutral rate, or somewhere in between. And whatever rate you set, that is your
That's your
maximum.
maximum. Okay, thank you.
And Mayor, if I may, Brett Dykley, Unified Government Clerk, let me be clear that when the clerk sends the valuations out, that they're certified to us. We do what is called an estimate for the June and July estimates, which is sent to the agencies themselves, and it becomes simple math at that point. It's based on the value itself and the increase, and it looks and says, this is what your what your value would be. This is what your maximum mill levy would be if you left everything this way. But if you have last year's baseline in what was your levy rate, that becomes your R&R rate at that point in time, like we discussed earlier in one of the meetings here about a month back. And that's the difference between where you would be with new valuations and where you would need to be with utilizing last year's rate if you remain revenue neutral, if that makes sense. So there are numbers that go out to the agencies that let them know what those two numbers might be. It's not just hey, we're going to increase this. Yeah, we just don't know what it is, but they do know what that maximum would be, which Debbie's shown here in that slide to be, the successive numbers for the higher end. And then you could come back down. So it allows you to adjust things inside there to remain in those same levy rates without going over once it's approved, right?
And
Hope
and the
that's clear.
resolution that's included in your packet does have all of that information, those rates in there. It shows what the revenue neutral rates are and what the current rates are.
Commissioner King?
Just a couple of weeks ago, several of the surrounding cities and counties were talking about exceeding revenue neutral. Baldwin City, yes. Bonner Springs, yes. Douglas County, yes. Edwardsville, likely. Fairway, yes. Johnson County, yes. Lansing to be debated. Lawrence, yes. Leavenworth to be debated. Leawood, yes. Lenexa, yes. Lewisburg, no. Merriam, yes. Miami County to be dated. Mission Hills, yes. Olathe, yes. Osawatomie, yes. Burley Ridge, yes. Roland Park, yes. Shawnee, yes. Tonganoxie, yes. UG, we've already voted on this before, and Westwood, yes. This is not something that is taken lightly across just here in Wyandotte County. It's all across. The economy is in trouble. We're in a situation now to where we're not the only ones that are struggling making this decision. We have to make a decision that's best and what services are we going to cut out if we go revenue neutral? Who are we going to lay off if this happens? And two people out of like 20 or two municipalities out of 20 said, you know what? We're all going to exceed revenue neutral. And this is very, very difficult for all of us. And we sit there and we say, we want this. What services are we going to cut out? What are we going to do for the community? And I struggle with this, because I no more wanted to be the lead on this than the man on the moon. But when I found this out, I thought, oh my God, we're not the only ones struggling. I talked to some mayors. I talked to some councilmen. I talked to multiple people and said, nobody feels good about this. And it's a struggle to be in this position again. We're going to put a lot on that new administrator, a whole lot. And we need to be very, very mindful and careful with what we do with not this budget, but the 2 or 3 budgets to come. Yeah, with that being said, I make a motion to, you're right, I didn't want to be this. Make a motion to exceed the revenue neutral rate.
Second.
Any other comments from Commissioner Bynum?
Thank you, Mayor. I just want to state that, as Commissioner Kane said, I think we've identified that every taxing entity in Wyandotte County, which includes the school district. I can't speak to the drainage districts because I honestly don't know. The county library, mill levy, the other 2 cities, the school district, the community college, and I believe even our own Wyandotte County Library Board, along with possibly USD 500, are not going revenue neutral. The reason I mention that is because number one, I want to say that I'm willing to have a conversation about revenue neutral, specifically on the county side of the budget. Because I believe that we have more room on the county side of the budget to make those cuts that Commissioner Kane is talking about. Unfortunately, on the county side of the budget, the cuts that we would talk about are the sheriff's department and the health department and some of our really important resources. I am willing to have the conversation about revenue neutral, most specifically on the county side of the budget. And per the worksheet we were given, revenue neutral on the county side of the budget would be 4.828 mils reduction. Just on the county side of the budget. I will vote tonight to support the motion that's been made for this reason. We've had budget discussions since May, and we have on the surface discussed revenue neutral as an option, but I know I and other commissioners have asked for in-depth conversations, deep dives into the budget line items, specifically around making any cuts so that we can understand where the cuts would be. And our county administrator is not here tonight. I have not had any organized conversation with this body about where the cuts will be. And so I'm not willing to, without that information, I'm not willing to agree to revenue neutral, but I am willing to the conversation for the balance of July and into August, because I think there is a middle ground here for us that could bring us forward with at least a partial path towards some relief. And as you know, I'm also trying to lead that effort for some relief from the pilot on the BPU bill. So it has revenue implications if we provide that. And we need to factor those in. But like I said, my main objection to the vote tonight simply is because we've not been provided with a shred of information about where those cuts would take place. And I really prefer that conversation be ahead of us then having to make the decision of what we would do. So just wanted to make that point. Thank you.
Commissioner Stites.
Stites District 7. So here's what, it's very unfortunate that we're put in this position to where we have to either put ourselves in this exceeding revenue neutral right now before we've ever really even seen a budget, right? But I don't know what they're talking about for cuts. What's it look like for on the county side, the city side? We don't even know. I don't have any idea. We don't have the county administrator here tonight to talk about it. And, it puts us, now, I am in favor of revenue neutral for sure on the county side. And that on the revenue neutral on the county side, what does that do? That affects every constituent, every single citizen in this county, not one city, not two cities, everybody would see tax relief. I know that we talked about at BPU meeting earlier, we talked about a way that we responsibly move forward with the pilot reduction. And you know what? Ultimately, I'm hoping pilot elimination, right? But we can't do it all in one whack. We can't do it. We just can't get there, right? But I think that it does no good for us to set up here and quite honestly, look like fools. I had so many people contact me after our last meeting and said, why do you stay there? It's a joke. And I'm tired. I'm tired of coming up here and being put down, belittled. Like I didn't run a campaign and I didn't win my election. I did. And I do have the constituents at best interest at heart. When they talked about having people, the taxes be reduced, I don't need to be put down on Facebook, not even 24 hours later, by somebody that says, once again, I'm fighting the resistance of the commission. Nobody's fighting the resistance of this commissioner. I vote the way I need to vote to make sure that I'm doing it responsibly for my constituents. And what I see as a county commissioner, not just my district is all of Wyandotte County. And so whenever I vote on the county side revenue neutral, that relieves taxes for everybody in this county. That's all. Thank you.
Okay. Well, I'll end with saying that I believe that the county administrator and staff follow the direction from the intent of this commission, and the intent out the gate was to exceed revenue neutral. And so they work towards that end. And so, no, you're not going to see massive cuts and things of those nature coming from staff when this commission as a whole, the majority, indicated to staff that they had no interest or desire to hear any talk about revenue neutral. Had you have been open to that, I'm sure staff would have came back with some recommendations that you could have considered. I have gone out in this community and I have listened to people, and it doesn't matter what race you are, all four corners of this community. The biggest issues are taxes and the fees associated with their BPU bills. And it doesn't matter who I talk to. And the people I talked to said that they want relief. I just went to a General Motors meeting the other day, and General Motors, some of their executive team made a comment that really was profound and said, we are losing businesses to our neighbors in Missouri, in Riverside, because of taxes, property taxes. So I've heard people say, oh, sales tax is aggressive tax. Well, I don't know how much more regressive you could be with property taxes when people are being taxed into poverty and taxed out of their homes. If they weren't, we wouldn't have an excess of land bank properties that we don't want and can't get rid of. I'm going to continue to speak up for the majority of these people and be in our community and be community driven. We've got to put a pressure point on taxes and fees. This is one of the poorest communities and anywhere you'd find in the state of Kansas. People cannot afford to continue to carry this burden. We cannot tax, spend, and borrow our way to solvency. It's a model that has not worked. And it's not a sustainable model. We've got to hold the line on property tax increases. Yes, hard choices and decisions are going to have to be made by this commission. I've challenged you from day one, be prepared to make those choices. We cannot continue to kick the can down the road any longer on the backs of hardworking people in Wyandotte County. They can't afford it. We've got to identify what essential services is and tell the truth and be real with our public and say, it is going to be shared sacrifice. They just want you to be honest, but they also wanted you to know how they feel. And they don't expect government to solve all their problems, but they want you to be truthful and they want you to work with them and they want you to listen. I listened last year for about 2 hours of residents, one after one, come up here and said, don't do this to us. It went on deaf ears. And here we are right back again. The solution is we're going to continue to tax you, we're going to continue to spend, and we're going to continue to borrow. We've got to streamline government. If I know that I'm headed towards bankruptcy, I'm going to tighten my belt and change how I do business with my personal finances. And I would think all of you would do the same. I don't know of any Fortune 500 company that is successful that operates in the way this commission has been doing. It's not sustainable if you want to be successful. This isn't my money. It's not your money. It's the money of the people that live here and that want better for themselves, and they should not have to decide between paying their light bill, putting food on the table, or putting shoes on their kids' feet. Not only do we have to streamline, we have to innovate. And I heard BPU talk about some of the sacrifices they made to cut their budget. I haven't heard that from this commission. All I've heard is you haven't given us anything to consider. I gave this commission something to consider last year and I got rejected. I didn't even bring it up this year because of the disrespect that was shown to me by this commission, because I'm speaking up for the people of Wyandotte County that said they wanted better. Business as usual at Wyandotte County Unified Government has to stop. I'm unapologetic, I'm unmoved, and I'm unbothered by anybody not liking me and not wanting to work with me. But I've asked you to work with me. The majority of you have thumbed your nose. You know why? Because I'm not part of this establishment that says the status quo is the way we're going to continue to go. I'm going to continue to be community driven and to speak up for the people in Wyandotte County that said they're sick of the shenanigans at City Hall. We had an opportunity last week or the week before last, and Commissioner Stites mentioned something really profound. We were at revenue neutral. And I asked our administrator at that time, some of you said, well, he's not here. Well, he's not here because he doesn't want to be. He's here because he's trying to make a home and build a house here in Wyandotte County and set up residents so he can pay taxes. That was stifled. And our administrator said that he will do whatever this commission says to do, and he will do it responsibly. We've got to expand our tax base. It's hard to expand your tax base and want to anchor people in Wyandotte County when it's too expensive to live here. It's hard to attract businesses that are going to provide jobs when our taxes and our rates are extremely high. In 1987, I was a cadet and I got laid off along with other employees. And it's amazing how history repeats itself, because this was the picture. The solution wasn't finding solutions. The solution was to continue to tax people out of our county and to tax people into poverty. And as a result, the tax base dried up. I don't know if any of you have heard of Detroit or East St. Louis. At some point, even if you can't lower taxes, putting a pressure point on it and saying, let's not raise it any further, should at least be the goal to offer some level of relief to our residents. To allow them to have faith in our government that we are working in a way that reflects what they said they want. I wouldn't be here talking and saying these things if everywhere I go, I don't hear the same thing in all four corners of Wyandotte County, to include Bonner Springs and Edwardsville. There's a better way of doing business. You can do it responsibly. But yes, you took this job to make hard decisions. I'm willing to work with you to make those hard decisions. I've asked you all to come to the table and work with me. Those of you that don't, and you know who you are, my door is open, my phone works. I make time for this community, and I'll make time for you to make hard decisions to best decide how to provide the level of services that our citizens come to expect. Matter of fact, when they elected us all, that's what they expected. It's supposed to be a unified government. And I heard a commissioner say tonight, people are sick of the circus. They want us to work together and get things done on their behalf. We're professionals, we're adults. We can get it done. It can be done responsibly, but we cannot keep burdening our hard-working residents with more taxes. And I don't care what any other tax entity, we're almost half. We should be leading the way and saying, let's start here. I'm not here to point fingers at any other taxing entities. I'm the mayor of the unified government. That's what I ran for. I don't vote, but I'm going to continue to advocate that we at least remain revenue neutral and that we work with our staff and my willingness to work with you all to find cuts and to find real solutions to problems, like I said, that we know impact the lives of real people every single day, and people are struggling to make it. And it hurts me that I'm powerless and helpless to help these folks. I don't hear solutions coming from this commission. All I hear is we've got to do it because somebody in staff said so. Leadership requires you to make hard decisions and hard choices, and I challenge this commission, no matter the vote tonight. Step up, work with me, let's do our job on behalf of the great people that call Wyandotte County home and those that may want to live here, so we can keep people here and we can make it a great and safe place to live, work, and raise a family, and at least bring some relief of these tax burdens and these fee burdens. It hurts me to even have this conversation because I've seen the tears in people's eyes. And it hurts me when people say I'm going to lose my house or I'm moving out of your county, Mayor, and they've lost confidence in this unified government to do anything because they've lost hope because they don't hear or see anybody that's even listening to them. I've gone to dot talks, I've been to community meetings, and outside of elections, I would hope that you would join me in these meetings. Not when you're running for office, but every day. Because I'm out there. Every day I come to work and I'm out in this community. Why? Because I care and I take my commitment to this community seriously. And I'm not saying anybody here doesn't. I'm saying join me. But we can't keep ignoring our people. If they say they want the cuts, my call to action from this commission is let's find a way to get the people what they say they want. I'm done. We have a motion and a second. Clerk, roll call.
Sir, just to clarify that Commissioner Kane and McKiernan's motions were to approve the resolution to exceed as written.
That is correct.
Thank
Commissioner Stites.
I just have one last clarification. So the vote tonight, if we vote to, with the expectation to exceed revenue neutral, doesn't prohibit us from being revenue neutral on either the city or the county, correct?
That's correct. You can
Thank
make
you.
that decision.
That's what I needed to know. Thank
All right. Just for those of you watching, if this does pass, there will be a public hearing on, I believe, August 28th.
That's correct, 7 p.m.
And so just take notice of that and that's an opportunity for you to make your voice heard. Commissioner Burrows.
Thank you, Mayor. Thank you, Mayor. Colleagues, I know we're about to pass a tough vote, but I have been consistent in my position from the day I got elected here because I ran on bringing the mill levy and our tax burden into equalization. And we see where we are tonight, once again, dealing with an issue that is really a difficult issue for all of us at one time or another. But I will be making my vote, and I do want the public to know that I've heard you. I ran on it 5 years ago. I'm not changing my position today because it's not a favored position, but I heard you, and I'll make my vote accordingly. Thank you.
Thanks. Clerk, roll call.
Roll call, Kane. Stites. Davis.
Aye.
Bynum.
Aye.
Burrows.
No.
Townsend.
Aye.
McKiernan.
Aye.
Ramirez,
Aye.
Johnson.
Aye.
Vote is 8-1, that motion carries.
For the record, clerk, veto by the mayor.
Move to override the veto.
Davis, second.
There's a motion and a second. Any discussion? Seeing none. Clerk, roll call.
Roll call, Kane, Stites, Davis.
Aye.
Bynum.
Aye.
Burrows,
Aye.
Townsend,
Aye.
McKiernan,
Aye.
Ramirez,
Aye.
Johnson.
Aye.
Vote is 9-0, that motion carries.
Thank you. With no further business before the governing body, I'll entertain a motion to adjourn.
Davis, so moved.
McKiernan, second.
There is a motion and a second. Clerk, roll call.
Roll call, Kane, Stites, Davis,
Aye.
Bynum,
Aye.
Burrows. Burrows. Townsend,
Aye.
McKiernan,
Aye.
Ramirez.
Aye.
Johnson.
Aye.
Vote is 9-0, we are adjourned.